Hi, welcome to this Essentials practice. It's called Well Balanced, and my intention was to both work on some balance challenges, but also to present a pretty well-balanced strength challenge for this shorter practice. For today, have a block at the ready. You may need it, and also one of the options will be going into forearm balance. So if you need some wall space, you won't need a lot, but have some wall space available, and you can always take your mat over and use the mat for your forearms. I have a separate mat here for my own forearm balance practice. And so let's begin. We're actually going to start standing in what in Tai Chi is called horse stance. And so you come up to standing, feet comfortably wide, and it's almost like you're sitting down. The shoulders relaxed, the arms gently out in front of you, and this starts to get the strength work through the legs, so it makes you feel the firmament of your body weight through feet. Drive your feet into the floor. Start taking some deeper inhales and exhales. And take a few breaths here. And as you're in horse stance, you can lift up one heel, get your your calf engaged, and then exhale, you lower down. And same thing on the other side. You lift your other heel high for the calf engagement. Exhale, you lower down. And you can go back and forth like this. This might challenge some people's balance a little bit. And if you'd like more of a challenge, instead of lifting one heel at a time, see if you can lift both heels at the same time. And then you would lower down. And so for the last 30 seconds or so in our quad work here, balance challenge, calf work, also breathing work. Breathe in and out through the nose if you are able to. Either lifting one heel at a time or both heels in tandem. All right. Very good. And then from there, come up to standing and to a forearm plank. So you press the heels back, lengthen your lungs forward. And in this plank, the strength challenge comes from pressing the hips down, but also drawing the bottom ribs up. And that helps get both the back body and the front body to work. You can hold here for the next 30 seconds or so, or on exhales, you can press one forearm down and reach the other arm forward. So I usually inhale with both forearms on the floor, exhale, reach one arm. So this is both a balance and a strength and stability challenge for the shoulder that remains on the floor. Go back and forth like this a couple more times. Okay, very good. And then you started with one arm reaching forward. As your other arm reaches forward and you bring it back down, you can take your knees to the floor and come up, two hands and knees, spread your fingers wide to get a hand stretch here. And from here, you can either A, extend just one leg back, or for the balance challenge, reach your other arm forward. We're to hold this as a pose. Back toes can be the back toes can either be curled under, or you can point them back, whatever works best for you, in order to, whatever's left on the floor, drive it through the floor. So there's an activity there that really makes you feel anchored. And there's 2 or 3 more breaths here. Drive the back heel back, reach your front arm forward, breathe into the whole thing. Right. And then from there, bring all 4 limbs to the floor, and we'll try that on the other side. Extend your other leg back. Diagonal arm reaches forward. And there's several breaths here. Once again, yogi's choice on whether the toes are curled under or the toes point back. You can alternate between the two. And then whatever's left on the floor, drive it through the floor. So there's some extra strength challenge, extra stabilization going on just by virtue of anchoring down. Deep inhales and exhales here. 2 or 3 more times. Okay, great. And then all four on the floor. As you inhale, arch your back, and as you exhale, round. Okay, then come to neutral, spine. Take your hands forward a little bit, and then we're gonna lift back into downward facing dog. Pause here for a couple breaths. You can bend your knees, lift your heels a little bit, bend your knees and arch your back. So you can really lift your sitting bones up toward the ceiling, and then press the heels back. So we're getting a big stretch around the calves and hamstrings, along the hamstrings. A few breaths here. Take a big inhale, big exhale. Another 2 or 3 breaths here. Okay, great. And then from downward facing dog, you bring one forearm to the floor, other forearm to the floor, and we're now in opposed dolphin. Okay? So you're gonna keep on lifting your sitting bones up like we've done. Heels press back. Your heels might not get to the floor, that's fine. Really work on the lift of your lumbar spine up toward the ceiling. And then from here, you can step your feet a little closer together. And so three-legged dolphin, lift one leg back and up. Pause here for a moment. And then you bring that leg down and you lift your other leg up toward the ceiling. I mean, really more back. So don't worry about bending the knee or lifting it up. Just work on the stabilization, the length of the legs. And there's a few breaths here with your other leg up. Okay, great. And then you bring that foot down, knees to the floor, and come to hands and knees. A couple rounds of cat-cow. Inhale, arch your back. Exhale, round your back. Take a deep breath in, arch your back. Exhale, round your back. Okay, so option number 2 for dolphin, you can either stay here and work with lifting. So in dolphin, you step your feet together and you would lift one leg. If it's available, whichever leg is up, the other arm reaches back and up as well. So it's hard to talk and do this at the same time, but this is a big, sort of like a dolphin version of the hands and knees practice. So try that a few times. This is both strength, balance, breath. And then you bring all 4 limbs to the floor and try that on the other side. Either number 1, you just maintain the lift of the back leg. Option number 2, you reach diagonal arm back and up. Whatever's left on the floor, drive it through the floor. Great. And 2 more breaths. Take a big inhale, big exhale, deep breath in. Okay, and then bring all 4 limbs on the floor, knees to the floor, and come into cat-cow again. Deep breath in, breathe in the abdomen, exhale, press mid back up. One more time, breathe in the abdomen, exhale, press mid back up. Okay, so the first 2 options, feel free to try either one of those again. Option number 3 for forearm balance, forearm stand. You would go to the wall. I usually keep my fingers a couple inches away from the wall. Forearms down. I lift into dolphin, which is already option number 1, right? So you can imagine yourself in forearm balance in dolphin. Option number 2 is you lift one leg up, you drive your forearms through the floor, and press your heels up toward the ceiling. Of course, if you have a balance practice, you can work away from the wall like this. Okay? But the heels can be on the wall. Drive your heels up the wall, and there's several breaths here. Okay? So if you're in forearm balance, that's fine. If you've chosen the second dolphin practice, switch sides. That's one leg up, diagonal arm reaches back and up as well. So a lot of both balance and stability work. One last breath here. Take a deep breath in. Okay, so come out of your whatever practice you're doing, hands onto the floor, lift back into downward facing dog. All right, so a lot of arm work, a lot of abdominal work, some work around the torso. Lift your thighs back, take a deep breath in, and then exhale, please step your right foot forward. Now we're in a lunge, and in this lunge, you're gonna lift your hips up toward the ceiling, and as you exhale, press your front knee forward and press your back heel back. So you're working on this split of the hips. Twice more. Inhale as you lift your hips up toward the ceiling. Exhale as you press your hips down. And one last time, lift your hips up toward the ceiling. Exhale, press your hips down. And then from there, take your hips about halfway in between those, drive your feet through the floor, and you can come up into a lunge. Now, hands can stay on thigh. For more work in your front leg, hands can be on hips. Or yogi's choice, you can reach your arms up or whatever you like to do. Okay, so if this feels like enough of a balance challenge, strength challenge, just drive whatever's on the ground into the floor. For the last couple of breaths here, if you'd like, you press your toes down, but lift your heels up, your front heel up as you inhale, and lower it down as you exhale. We'll do that 3 more times. Inhale as you lift, exhale as you lower, inhale as you lift, exhale as you lower, inhale as you lift, and then lower your front heel to the ground, hands plant, and lift back into downward facing dog. 2 breaths here. Really drive the heels back so you can get a stretch in the calf, especially that front calf that was working so hard. And then exhale, step your left foot forward. We're gonna take a low lunge. From your lunge, inhale, lift your hips up toward the ceiling. And then as you exhale, send your front knee forward, back heel back, hips toward the ground. Let's do this a couple more times. Inhale as you lift. Exhale as you expand. Inhale as you lift. Exhale as you expand. And twice more. Inhale, lift. Exhale, expand. Take a deep breath in. And exhale as you expand. Great, and then find a place halfway in between those. And you can either take hands to thigh for some assistance with your hands, or if it's available, hands to hips. So now we're in a lunge. You're holding here, breathing a lot as your legs are working a lot. All right, and you gotta stay here, work on the solidity of what's on the ground. If you'd like, you can try that 4 times. You lift the heel up on inhale. Exhale as you lower. Inhale as you lift. Exhale as you lower. Twice more. Inhale as you lift. Exhale as you lower. Inhale as you lift. And then lower your heel. Press your hands into the floor and go back into plank. And we're going to hold plank for several breaths, pressing your hips toward the floor, lifting your bottom ribs up toward the ceiling. If you'd like to try side plank, I'll go on my left arm first. So all my weight's now on my left arm. Right hand comes to hip. Either A, you can turn your hips and take your feet, both feet to the ground, or for more of a balance challenge, stack one foot on top of the other. Pause here for a breath, take a big inhale, big exhale, and then you come back to a plank position. And then we try that on the other side. Shift your weight onto your right hand. And either A, you can keep your legs spread so the sides of your feet are on the floor. If you'd like to, stack one leg on top of the other and pause there. Take a deep breath in, big exhale, and one last time. And then come back into plank. One last breath in plank, and then exhale, lower down. And from here, let's lie on the back. So we're lying face up, feet flat on the floor, and you're gonna lift your hips up toward the ceiling. And so this is bridge. Option number 1 is to hold the sides of your mat and rock your shoulder blades underneath you. Option number 2 is to interlace your fingers underneath you, and that way you can rock your shoulders together. So we're here for the next like 40-45 seconds. You can stay here squeezing your back body, lifting your hips up, and opening your heart center. If you'd like to try one-legged bridge, you step your feet a little closer together. And as you exhale, draw one knee into the chest, or if you'd like, you can also press the heel up toward the ceiling. So whatever's left on the floor, drive it through the floor. And then you take that foot down, replant that foot, and on your next exhale,
draw your other knee into chest, or you press the heel up toward the ceiling, and whatever's left on the floor, you drive it through the floor. 2 breaths. Inhale, exhale, deep breath in, and then you lower both feet to the floor, arms out of the way, lower your hips down to the ground. All right, very nice. And then please draw your knees into chest, breathe into your low back. This is option number 1. Option number 2 includes happy baby pose. You can draw your knees toward the floor, and this will give you more of a hamstring stretch through low back. All right, so this was a lot of heat building, a lot of focusing, a lot of keeping it together in our postures. So you notice your heart rate, notice perhaps the deeper breaths that are now starting to decelerate. And on your exhale, you can release your knees or release your feet and come up to a comfortable seat. All right, cross-legged or otherwise, however you want to sit. And take the last moment here in our practice to feel the self-stability, how our muscles wrap around our bones and keep ourselves together. So compared to all the other challenging practices we did to keep ourselves together in a seated position like this, seems almost effortless. So notice the almost effortless effort of keeping your spine upright, keeping your head balanced on top of your spine. All right, great. And then you can gently open your eyes if they're closed. All right, great. So hopefully that felt very constructive and engaging. So thank you so much for practicing with me. Take care. Namaste.